Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, hey. If you want to talk a little bit.
Testing, testing. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining.
You're good.
Awesome, thank you. Going to give a few more minutes for anybody who wants to trickle in to do so. Sure. That's a good question. Let's see. I'm going to check and see which one I'm on. A Go Cloud Native with Cisco? It's on the back of your badge. Sure. A funny story, I did an entire conference and didn't even realize that there was a Wi-Fi connection available, so I did a presentation tethered to my phone. And then there's that too. I don't know, this year's is pretty good. So, do you all mind if I take a picture? Awesome, thank you. See if I can get it panoramic. Love it. Awesome, thank you all. All right, we are 1 minute after, so I guess we can go ahead and get started. As soon as I get on the right page. There we are. So, hello, thank you all for joining today. My name's Treva. I'll go into formal introductions later. Just wanted to give you a quick hello. And I'm with Replicated. They are the ones what brung me today. And I am, along with my colleagues Kyle Sorensen and Dan Stow. Hi, Dan. We're going to walk you through Troubleshoot, one of many open source projects that have been managed and created by Replicated. And you'll hear more about those in a minute also. This is just my formal slide to announce what company I'm from and what the workshop is about. And this is the important part. So if you go to that Katacoda link, you will find the course that this presentation and workshop is based on. And in there, you should find 3 scenarios. If you have any trouble connecting, there is a clone of the workshops on Kyle's Katacoda backup account. And if you have any other trouble, then just let me know, or let one of us know. We'll try to help you get connected. Hello to all of the virtual attendees. You should also be able to hit that virtual link. And I just wanted to let you know that this is happening live. So first off, I'm going to be super awkward. And secondly, there could be potential delays. and answering questions and that type of thing, so please be patient with us. But thank you so much for tuning in. All right, so I'm gonna give you a few minutes to go ahead and get on that Katacoda page. I guess once you're done, or if you have any trouble, just give me a hand raise. I'll give you about 5 minutes. Sound good? Speaking of awkwardness, it just occurred to me that I can take this off since I'm standing so far away from all of you. Yeah. All right, so Gagi just sounded the gong. I guess he's bored, so it's time to go ahead and move on. So hopefully you are all on this page. And we're going to start with scenario 1. As soon as I find my mouse. I cannot see at all what I'm doing. I apologize for this. I'm going to disconnect for just a second.
Yeah, she needs the mirror screen.
It's in the,
Yeah, yeah. She's got to go to settings.
All right. Sorry about that. Finally got everything working together, so thank you, new people that are joining in. We are on catacota.com/replicated-HQ. There you should find one course available that's going to have 3 scenarios. If you have any trouble connecting, just raise your hand, and one of us people in the red shirts or dog dress will be able to help you. But let's go ahead and get started. So everything is written down here. I'm going to talk through not too much. Most of this is going to be just hands-on experience. I tend to use scripts because I have severe anxiety, which is why I have a dog. But yes, if I am not coherent, the writing will be. Anyway, thank you all for joining. This is a lab on troubleshoot.sh. And starting scenario, Troubleshoot.sh, as I mentioned earlier, is an open source project created by Replicated, who just in July 2021 achieved Series C funding for the amount of $50 million. And in addition to that, they also do some pretty awesome enterprise software. If you're curious about that, I recommend that you head on down to the pavilion and check out our booth. There is some pretty interesting stuff going on down there, like some bocce ball. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds like a lot of fun, and a couple other things. So go and check that out. Obviously, I am not a salesperson, which is why I'm rattling through this. I am the open source person. My name is Treva, as I keep saying, and I am the community manager / dev evangelist for Replicated, and I am joined by my colleagues Kyle Sorensen and Dan Stow. They are both core engineers. Dan, you mainly work on curl, right? Me too. And Kyle, you are a fan of Troubleshoot, but you're also kind of curl.
That is correct.
All right, so there we are with that. I'm not sure if I wanted or if you want to be introduced also. There's Javier and Josh and Amit, who flew all the way in from Israel, and Todd. They are on the SE team. Yeah? Yeah. So those are the SEs, and they're also here to giggle. Anyway, you're probably wondering what the heck is Troubleshoot. I keep saying the name, but I haven't explained what it is. Basically, what it is a troubleshooting tool with 2 components in a kubectl plugin format that make Kubernetes troubleshooting like super easy. There's preflight, which can be used to diagnose and analyze a client environment before you deploy your application. It can tell you exactly what's wrong with it because you can make some very detailed queries to that environment. And then there's also support bundle. Did I go idle? There we go. Support bundle. That is what you use once your application or applications have already been deployed. And with that, you can collect, analyze, redact, and a whole bunch of other things, types of information. You can even inject info into a client environment, all without having to install anything. And it's all open source. So yeah, all right. I have been rattling off a lot, so if you wouldn't mind, if you could just run the command kubectl get nodes and let me know if you actually get a response. If not, then use the launch sh script. Let's see, I'll run it from here. Let's see. You should have 1 controller and 1 node. Okay, so if you just run, just do that, and that should connect. It'll take about 2 or 3 minutes. Can you see it? Let me see. Awesome. Run launch.sh. So yeah, so everybody's connecting. Speaking of Pavilion, we have another project called Schema Hero that is a database schema migration tool. It's got information up there about it. And we also have a booth that it would be really awesome if you drop by. You could talk to some of the maintainers and also the creator of Schema Hero if you drop by. And also get some neat stickers. Stickers are always fun. All right, how we doing, everybody? There you go. There's a link for anybody that came in. We are on scenario 1. All right, so we're ready to move on? All right, so now that we have got our Kubernetes cluster set up, let us start installing our Troubleshoot bundle. First thing you'll need to do is install something called Crew, which is another Kubernetes plugin that's kind of like a repo for different plugins and apps that you can add to your cluster to make it a little bit better, make it do some interesting things. If you click on that hyperlink, that'll take you to the Crew website, which has installation instructions. But to make this a little bit easier, I kind of threw together a bash script that you can execute by first, I'm going to clear out this. Just click on that little code block, and it'll run for you. And then we're going to chmod plus X and run the Crew installer. And that'll take about 30 seconds to install for you. And once that finishes running, just run like a simple command, like the help command for Crew, which is kubectl crew tech h, just to make sure that everything is running correctly. And if it's not, then resource your bash file, and that should fix it. But that's the response that you should get.
For those who are getting that there's no master node, essentially wait a few minutes, it'll probably fix itself. Otherwise, feel free to raise your hand and I'll come help.
All right, so everybody got crew installed? Cool. So let us go on to installing preflight. So preflight, I guess, out of the two components is kind of my favorite to talk about. I think probably because I like the colors, because I'm childish like that. But it also is, it comes in very handy. And there are some new features that are going to be added in the future that are going to make it even more exciting that I'm thrilled about, but I can't quite talk about them yet. I'm going to leave them a surprise. Anyway, to install preflight, it's really simple. Once you have the crew plugin installed, it's just kubectl crew, install preflight, and same as the bash script, just click on that code block, and the installation will start for you, and that should be instantly ready. And as I mentioned earlier, installing preflight or support bundle, it doesn't actually install anything into your cluster, which can be seen as potentially a security risk. It's just two simple binary files. So there's that. That's awesome. So let's talk about analyzers. So what preflight uses is something called analyzers to look for specified information that's specified in YAML files that can be passed through customer environments, either from a hyperlink or in a tarball or just a text file, an email, whatever, to get you the information that you need quickly and easy to understand. Results in 1 or 0 outcomes. And if an analyzer produces a 0 outcome, then it's not displayed in the results. So to see the pretty colors that I was talking about, and also to kind of get a feel for how preflight works, there's another code block at the bottom, and that's just going to run a demo preflight check that is actually more configured for a production Kubernetes environment than the super tiny one that we're in now. But it'll just show how preflight works. Like, most of these are probably going to fail, but it's not a big deal. We're just trying it out, right? So go ahead and click on that. And after about 25, 30 seconds, you should get something like that. So through all your results, you can scan through, see what passed, what didn't. So we passed on Kubernetes version. I think these clusters are running 118, and the minimum for the sample preflight check is still 118. Failed on ingress. Let's see. We have a valid container runtime, so we've got a red, and I also appreciate that as long as your terminal colors haven't been changed around, which mine have. I've got like Barbie doll colors. There's very obvious to understand the color coding. So green means you're good, yellow means you might want to look at some stuff, red means you got a problem. But anyway, you can scan through and you can set as many, or you can use as many analyzers as you want or need to look for anything that you want to find. And as I mentioned, because this is a super tiny demo environment running on God knows what, most of these failed. But this is just to show how preflight works. So once you're done with that, just hit Q to quit out and go back to your terminal window. And then we are going to move on to step 4. And talk a little about support bundle. So support bundle, it is a tiny little plugin that does a lot of things. What it does basically is it will scrape through a Kubernetes cluster, and it will pull as much or as little information as you need while redacting any sensitive information like Kubernetes secrets, passwords, that types of thing. Those are automatically removed. But you can pull out logs, you can pull out status, you can pull out cluster version, you can pull out pod version, application version, you can even inject information. And it's air gap safe. I'm not wording that very well, but it's something that can be passed around to any type of secure environment. And information can also be passed by to secure environments. And what I love the most about it is that it removes kind of the bottlenecks that comes with the language barrier between the client and the support team. Because say if you're a support rep and you're on the phone with the CTO, that's fine, but if you're on the phone with, I don't know, the VP of marketing and you're trying to explain to them how to get a pod status, if you've ever worked support, you know how much of a nightmare that can be. Support bundle kind of removes that issue. You just tell them, run the dadgum support bundle, put it on GitHub somewhere, you're done. Happens in the archive. So let's go ahead and play around with it a little bit. So once again, we're going to go back to crew, and we're going to use that command in the little code block to install support bundle. And that shouldn't take very long at all if this were working. I think I might be disconnected, but you can go ahead and move ahead of me. Just run kubectl crew install support bundle. All right, so we're installed, and now we're ready to move on to step 4. And same as we did with preflight, we're going to run one of our demo support bundles that's just going to do like a scrape of our Kubernetes environment. And because this one's a little bit of a hybrid, you might end up getting a preflight check also that we're just going to queue out of. So go ahead and run that. You can either write out the command yourself or just click on that code block. Yep. Thank you so much, preflight. And instantly we've got our tarball available. So let's go ahead and unpack that with a tar command. You can either click on that link or just do a tar xvf for whatever the file name is. And what that's going to do is it's going to make a separate directory that is going to have some fascinating stuff in it that I'm not going to tell you about yet, because that is we're going to go into detail in a future lesson. But let's look at it anyway. So I'm going to do an untar. And then cd into our support bundle directory. I'm sorry, all the scraping. I think that's my lapel. Let me see if I can fix that, because that's annoying. Is that better? Good. Okay. So can't go into this yet because it's a surprise, but if you want to look around in there a little bit, so the first thing is version. Let's go ahead and cat that out. And then we're going to look at our analysis. Maybe. Yes, so that file is super handy. I'll let you go ahead and try to figure out what's in there yourself before we move on. And I think I hit complete too fast. Anyway, look at the pretty picture. We'll go back later and look at what's inside of the support bundle. So once you've done all of that, poked around in that support bundle folder as much as you feel like, go ahead and complete this scenario, and let's move on to the next one. So, all right, once we're all done adventuring and ready to move on to our little pre-flight adventure, just give me a quick thumbs up. All right, and virtual people, if you want to give a thumbs up if you're following along. All right, so we are going to move on to the second component, which is playing around with preflight. So as I mentioned, preflight is highly customizable using analyzers that are predefined on troubleshoot.sh. Before we dive into kind of playing around with creating our own analyzers, let's go ahead and make sure that our environment is set up. Once again, there should be a background script that is connecting your Kubernetes clusters, your nodes, and your control plane together. If not, then just do a launch.sh and give it like 30 seconds, a minute or so, and it should be connected. All right, I hope this isn't happening in your environment, but there should be a backend script that is installing crew for you. If not, then if you do an ls in your root directory, you should find a crew.sh. Just do a bash crew.sh, and that should take care of you. And then once that's done, once again, we'll have to install preflight. Let's see. And while I'm setting my environment up, does anyone have any questions? All right, awesome. So once your bash script is done, go ahead and reinstall preflight. Just click on that code block. It's way easier. Right? So once preflight is reinstalled, we're ready to move on and get started with creating our own preflight checks. So every preflight check is going to start with a YAML file, as I keep saying, but also with the above, with an API version specified, what kind of check you're doing, whether it's a preflight or support bundle. And by the way, I forgot to mention it in my first lesson that preflight and support bundle checks can be combined into two. You can use collectors, analyzers, redactors, all in the same thing. But it isn't necessary. You can do them separately also. But anyway, let's go ahead and start our first preflight check by just copying the text there. And we're going to make a new file called preflight.yaml. Use whatever text editor you prefer, but I'll like you a whole lot better if you use Vim. So once you got that copied and pasted, you can go ahead and save and close your file. And technically, you can go ahead and run that check as is. It's not going to return much except for an error, but I mean, you can run it. Let's see what'll happen. And there we are. Error message, no data has been collected because we haven't told it to collect any data. So let's move on to step 3 and tell it to collect some dadgum data. So first, let's try adding an analyzer to see if our Kubernetes version is up to date, which we know it kind of is, but let's check it again anyway. So You can either edit your current preflight.yaml, or you can take the lazy write like I usually do and just delete it and make another one. And in that, we are going to copy all of this lovely YAML over this way. All right, and this check is going to fail if our Kubernetes version is less than 118, and it will be green if it's 119 or greater, which is actually several versions behind the latest release. But we're just going to go with it. So go ahead and save and close. And go ahead and run our pre-flight check. And I apologize for the throttling errors. Can't really do anything about that. And there we are. What you should get back is a yellow warning message along with text saying, hey, your version of Kubernetes is kind of okay, but you might want to update because, you know, don't be a jerk. And by the way, of course, those messages are fully customizable. You can have them say anything that you want them to say. You can point them to hyperlinks. I don't think you can actually hyperlink in YAML, but you get what I'm saying. They can copy and paste. But this is just to show what a pre-flight check with a custom analyzer looks like. So once you've looked at this one message enough, go ahead and quit out of that with Q, and we'll move on to step 4. Where we're going to add a little bit more to our pre-flight check. We're going to check system resources. So this is just showing what a pre-flight check will look like if it's using more than one analyzer. This one's pretty simple. It's just going to check your CPU and available RAM, and it may or may not fail. I'm not really sure. Let's see what it does. So go ahead and copy that code block, and this time I highly advise you to not delete your preflight.yaml. Just go ahead and edit the one that you have, and also be careful of indentation. So let's go ahead and look at our preflight. And also, if you're using them, I highly recommend that you use the set AI trick to kind of control auto indentation, because this text editor is kind of a pain to work with. Or the terminal is kind of a pain to work with. Sorry?
I'm assuming to be it, node resources should be at the same level as cluster, right? It's another item in the analysis.
You got it? Yes. So he was asking if node resources should be at the same indentation level as cluster version. That is correct. So once you're done with that, go ahead, save and close your file, and we're going to do another kubectl preflight, preflight.yaml of our local file, just showing how preflight would work in one of those potentially air-gapped environments that doesn't have access to public internet. Just send them over a YAML file, however you can get it to them, to do the preflight check, and then have them either send you or talk you through what the results are. Makes your job a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and run my pre-flight check. And if this fails because of indentation, I'm going to be super embarrassed. But we're all friends here, right? So it's not a big deal. All right. Indentation issues. This is why you should be super careful. I have got this written out somewhere. So I'm going to do the exact opposite of what I advised you all to do, and I'm going to delete my pre-flight because this is super embarrassing. And just use the one that I wrote out earlier that I know that the indentation is right on. Sorry.
All right.
If you're using Vim, just hit the set pace command instead of set AI, and it seems to work better.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
You can also just use an external text editor, copy paste it all over there, and just apply it.
Yep. All right, so I did exactly that thing and did it over in a text editor, and this time it's working. It's not yelling about indentation. So let's see what it says. All right, once again, I get my mustard yellow error, kind of error message warning, and also checking my node resources. It turns out I do have an extra node with at least 4 gigs of RAM and 2 vCPU cores, so hooray me. All right, so go ahead and quit out of that, and we're going to move on to our next thing. So in your Kubernetes cluster, there should be a custom resource definition hiding in there somewhere called crontabs.stable.example.com. Hopefully it's there. If it's not, then I mean, I'm going to be probably just going to lay down and cry for like 5 minutes after this is over. But anyway, if you go over to Troubleshoot documentation, you should be linked straight to, you are not, head on down to the custom resource definition section. Anyway, I'm losing my train of thought. I get distracted very easily. I apologize. But anyway, there is an analyzer that will actually look for CRDs and give you that lovely red error message if they are not present. That will come in super handy when deploying the customer environment. So let's practice creating in a pre-flight check that looks for our custom resource definition. So I don't know, name this something other than preflight.yaml, but create a new file, and we're going to paste in our little template there. And if you did it the way that I did, so either you can copy this entire thing from the troubleshoot.sh documentation, that's probably easier, won't come up with any weird indentation errors, or you can do like I am. What you're going to want is everything under analyzers. We're going to head over this way, going to get rid of those brackets. And for our custom resource definition name, we're going to change that from the sample one that's looking for Ceph Rook to our CRD name, which is crontabs.stable.example.com. So all right, once you've entered in your CRD name, let's have a little bit of fun, and we're going to customize our message. Write in whatever you like. I am going to yell at my non-existent customer about not having the right cron tab installed. All right, so once you have your customizations done, go ahead and save and close out of that file. And then when you're ready, we can execute our preflight check with kubectl preflight, and then your file name, and let me know if you get pass, fail, or any error messages. I'm really excited that there weren't any indentation errors. But my cron tab is not available, so I am yelling at myself, which I do frequently when I'm at home by myself. So I got my red error, and say if I were the customer, I could say that the thing that you sent me is in red, and person on the phone knows that, hey, the reason why this application isn't working isn't because I gave them broken code, but because the environment is broken. Huzzah. So go ahead and quit out of that. And now we are going to go on an adventure. So hopefully you still have the troubleshoot.sh documentation available, and you are going to stay under the analyze section. You can minimize the others if need be, or just scroll down to the bottom, whatever. I'm not your boss. Anyway, keep that page open, because now I'm going to give you, say, 10, 15 minutes to play around and make your own preflight checks. You can check for anything that you want. You can create a new namespace. You can create a new pods, projects, containers, whatever, break them, do what you want, and write a preflight check for them. You can have it fail, you can have it to pass. Just do the thing and have fun. And if you have any questions, which I certainly hope that you do, just pop your hand up and one of us will be over to help you. So 15 minutes starting now. And you know what? Actually, before we get started, does anyone need a break or anything? Coffee break, restroom? Because we can do that, or we can just do the thing. All right, cool. That makes a lot more sense. So, all right, I take the break thing back. We are going to move that to the end of section 2. So after you're finished writing your custom pre-flight check, feel free to step out for like 10, 15 minutes. We're making pretty good time here. And, have a bit of a bio break, coffee break, go get some snacks, whatever. Come pet the dog. He's asleep right now, but I'm sure he'll wake up if you cuddle him. Yeah. Sure.
Is there a way in order to pre-flight command non-interactively? Like, is there a switch you can throw or something?
See, that's a good question.
We'll get you mic'd up.
I'm asking if there's a way to run the pre-flight command, and I'll give you this exact command. The kubectl preflight, .preflight.yaml, or whatever the YAML file is. Is there a way to run that non-interactively?
I can answer that. There's a -- interactive equal false flag, so there is an interactive flag. I think that's it, going off memory, so. Yep, that looks like it worked.
Nice.
Good question.
That's a great question. So, Kyle, can we do a mic thing? Just to repeat the question, my colleague was asking if there's a way to output the amount of whatever resource that you're checking for to see what is available if a pre-flight check fails. And I think Kyle wants to answer the question.
Oh yeah, I get what you're asking. Basically a way to see the current value, right? Right now, I don't believe we have that. It's definitely something on the roadmap though. Like, you know, check less than 4. Well, it's 3.7. Basically show that in the message, right? It's on the roadmap.
So if that's a feature that you would like to see, you can head over to the troubleshoot.sh GitHub repository and submit an issue, and our engineering team will definitely take a look and try to get that feature implemented. They're really fast, so yeah, and that's a great idea. Let's call it 12:37, 12:40, 12:40. Yeah. All right, so feel free to stay in the room, poke around, ask questions, pet the dog, or if you'd rather go on a break, head on out and be back around 12:40-ish, and we will do our last part, which is going to be super fun, written by my colleague Dan Stowe, who is way better at this than I am. So, but anyway, hopefully I'll see you back at 12:40. It is 12:40, but where I come from, we start at 1 after. So we're going to give 1 more minute for anybody else who wants to join in to come on back. And my alarm is going off, so I'm going to turn that off. All right, so we are 1 after. So let's go ahead and start our final scenario, which was created by my colleague Dan Stow. And as a matter of fact, he made a lot of contribution to all 3 of these scenarios. So thank you so much, Dan. I know you don't like being like the focus of attention, but I really appreciate you joining in. And thank you so much, Kyle, who just disappeared. There he is. Okay, thank you, Kyle, for joining in and answering questions and everything. All right, so we're back, and we're going to do our final scenario, which is going to be on support bundle. You might end up getting that error, but just hold off for a second. The VS Code is going to load. I think it's VS Code, yeah? Yeah, see, just give it a few minutes, and you'll have a text editor. So once again, we've got to do our environment set up because those backend scripts with Katacoda don't always kick off like they're supposed to. Should be pretty easy. Just run crew.sh to reinstall crew. If it's not already there, you can check to make sure if it is with kubectl crew tech h. And if that command fails, do the crew.sh script. It didn't work on mine, so I'm assuming it didn't work on yours either, so. And then once that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and install the support bundle plugin with kubectl crew install support bundle. That shouldn't take any more than about 15 seconds. And then once that's done, let's see what happens if you try to run the support bundle command without giving it any type of parameters, which can either be done with a hyperlink URL or with a local file. Let's just see what happens though. And of course it yells at us because we haven't told it to do anything. So let's tell it to do some things. So creating a support bundle is done with YAML, just like with creating a preflight check. And there is a top template that is pretty similar to our preflight checks, except we're going to put some different things under spec. You can specify collectors, analyzers, redactors. We're going to start with collectors and analyzers. So go ahead and hit that copy to editor button up in the top right of that text field. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a new file for you called support.yaml. And once again, this one isn't specifying much, so trying to execute support.yaml is probably going to yell at us some more. But let's see what it does. All right, so it didn't yell. What it actually did was it created a support bundle tar archive, which you probably saw pop up here. And that's still zipped, so can't see what's in it. But anyway, what that did was collect some basic information about our cluster, which we looked at a little bit in our introductory course. If you have a moment, which I'm pretty sure you all do, let's unzip that tar archive and see what's in there. So that's done with a tar XBF and then our support bundle archive name. And I think I might be jumping a little bit ahead. Am I jumping ahead? Okay, and once you get that untarred, there is a specific file you should be looking for. It could be under the support bundle directory, or it's going to be under support bundle dash today's date and time. And you're going to go into cluster info. And then you're going to look at cluster version.json. And that's going to tell you what version of Kubernetes you're running. Now, that's not it's super interesting right now because we are very, very well versed on what version of Kubernetes this is, but it can come in handy when troubleshooting a client environment. Can you get that information from kubectl? Sure, but this is a lot more fun. So, yeah. What else can we do with support bundle? Let's move on to step 2, or step 3, I'm sorry, and take a look. So I'm going to close out of that because it's kind of freaking me out. All right, so let's do some debugging, which is why we're all here, because we want some advanced Kubernetes troubleshooting. So provided that the backend scripts have worked, there should be an app running somewhere that's having some trouble. So let's try creating a support bundle that'll tell us what's wrong with that application. So go ahead and hit that copy to editor, I guess, little button in the top right corner of our text area. And what that should do is create a file for you with our text in it. And then once that's done, go ahead and run our support bundle plugin and see what we get. Just click the code block. So I'm going to do that thing. And while that's doing that, just let me know with a thumbs up once you got all your results. Shouldn't take any more than about 30 seconds. And if people tuning in virtually could do the same, just give us a little thumbs up or a B in the chat to let me know that you're good to go. Sorry, I'm kind of a motor mouth, especially when I'm nervous. All right, so if you created your support bundle YAML and you got your results, you probably saw a whole bunch of stuff happening on the screen that hasn't been happening before. That means something's broken somewhere. Let's see what the heck's going on. So if you look in the support tech bundle subdirectory in your root, go under cluster resources and then under deployments, and then look at trouble.json. That should be giving you a little bit of detailed information on what's going on. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to take a peek at that. Actually, no, I'm not going to give you a couple minutes to look at that. That's a huge file. Basically what's happening is there are 2 unavailable replicas on our cluster, and also our log files are coming up empty, which is always a problem. So what are we going to do about it? Well, right now what we're going to do is we're going to pretend like we didn't see that because we're just playing around. But if you were in a, I don't know, application critical situation, you would have a huge head start on figuring out what's going on by using this specific file that is, I don't want to spoil the secret yet, but it's actually named after the application that we're having issues with. So, going to jump into step 4, and let's pull some diagnostics. Am I moving too fast still? Okay, good. So, all right, we are still dealing with a broken application around here somewhere. So, I don't know. We have a client who calls with this same issue every 4 or 5 days. They're putting a huge demand on our support teams, our engineering teams, calling with the same issue over and over again. Not going to be rude, not going to say stop calling, but what do we do if this is an issue that we've seen before? There is actually a support bundle answer to that. So we're going to create a new file, and you can either copy and paste or just hit copy to editor, and that is going to create our second troubleshoot support bundle. And we're going to pull some more diagnostics that are going to also analyze our cluster. So that's that combination support bundle pre-flight check I was telling you about, to see what the heck's going on. So once you've got troubleshoot.yaml created, go ahead and going to run our support bundle plug in, and then unzip and analyze our contents of our support bundle. And what should also be happening is, while that archive is being created, we're going to get a diagnostic on our actual cluster to see why this specific failure is happening. And it looks like the client hasn't done anything right, basically. So now we get more information on why the failure is happening. But now we've got another issue. There is a secret in there that should not have been shared outside of our organization. And don't really want to get into the habit of sharing out cluster secrets. Don't want to end up with a huge data breach. So how do we address that using support bundle? Well, pretty easy. Redactors. There was a great joke in there, probably tying back to like 80s infomercials, but I missed the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. All right, so if there's sensitive data like cluster secrets, passwords, that types of thing, that isn't automatically scrubbed by the redactors that already exist in every support bundle that you want to address, and you know they're there. There are redactors available on our troubleshoot.sh documentation. They have a whole section in here, I believe. Or maybe, yes, here we are, under redact. So you can specify information that you do not want included in a support bundle. Let's take a look at how that works. So last time I promised, we're going to make a new file called trouble3, and I'm going to clear my screen really quick. That is going to redact that super secret cluster secret that we saw on our previous step. So once you've got your file created, once again, we're going to get rid of our old support bundle directory, and then we're going to make another one with our support bundle in it. So let's go ahead and execute those commands, and let's see what happens. All right. Once you have your new support bundle support bundle subdirectory created, you're going to go under cluster resources, and then we're going to look under pods, and then look for trouble.json. And in that long file, you can look for our token, I guess called super secret. That's cute. That should be fairly easy to find. And we'll see that our super secret is now super secret. It is not included thanks to the redactors that we included in our final, in those last 4 lines. These ones right here. So I guess this would be a good time to point out that both preflight and support bundles support regex, which is being used to omit that specific key from this support bundle check. So that always comes in handy. I personally just absolutely despise regex, but I recognize how powerful of a tool it is. But if you are not, or if you're a masochist and you like regex, you're free to use it in your pre-flight checks and support bundles to look for specific things or to omit them. Sure. So the question was, what regex engine is being used behind the scenes? I am going to defer to my colleagues to answer that question.
We're gonna look that up right now.
So there we go. All right. So how's everybody doing? Did we get any error messages or anything? Sweet. That is the one time I like to see a thumbs down. How about our virtual attendees? Are we doing good? Good, because you're done. That is the last part of our Troubleshoot Lab. Thank you all so much for joining, and congratulations. You are now Troubleshoot.sh experts. And I'm doing duck face because I stutter. Thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate your time and appreciate you being here. And now you are all members of the Troubleshoot.sh community, so I fully expect you to attend our next Troubleshoot.sh community meeting. And if you can't attend because the time doesn't work right, you have to work, or you have to take a nap, I understand that naps are critical. You can catch us like replays on the Replicated HQ YouTube channel. We have our meetings monthly, and the recordings are usually uploaded within like a day or two of first broadcast. We are also available on the Kubernetes Slack in the App Tac Troubleshoot channel. We are all in there, and we all try to be pretty active. If you have any questions, comments, want to poke at somebody, want to know where I got this dress, anything, feel free to reach out on the App Troubleshoot channel. And also, while you're at it, I'd really appreciate if you would check out our other open source projects. There are some booklets back there that should have a listing of all of them. And I'm also really happy to announce that one of our projects, curl.sh, was recently named as CNCF Certified Kubernetes Installer. Kyle was actually the one who worked so hard on that, but I spent like a month and a half just banging my head against the wall trying to get it to work. Anyway, thank you so much, Kyle, for your work on that. And thank you all for joining. And I've run out of things to say, so I'm going to let you go. Have a happy KubeCon. And if you see me and the doggo around, give him a pet. All right, thank you all so much.
To answer the question about the regex engine, we're just using the Go standard library.